because you and I are about to take a step into a giant puzzle. The mystery begins on the barren landscape of Marshall County, Minnesota. On August 27, 1979, Deputy Val Johnson experiences something incredible.
And suddenly the light that had been there suddenly became here, and it struck my vehicle, causing some damage to it.
I feel that whatever Val told me about the light and the strange incident was true. I don't doubt Val in any way.
Hoax doesn't seem very likely in this case, not only for what all of Johnson's colleagues and friends have indicated about the man, but because of the unusualness of the effects.
I'm convinced that it's something not of the ordinary in nature because of the sequence of the fractures as they occurred and the magnitude of the stresses involved in them.
Deputy Johnson is a policeman. The documentation of his experience comes from an unusual source. We have a recording of the actual radio call that he made seconds after the incident. Listen closely.
407, what is your condition?
I don't know. Something just hit my car. I don't know how to explain it. Strange.
Are you, what's your condition? Are you okay?
Something attacked my car. I heard the glass breaking and the locks, the brakes locked up. I don't know what's going on.
10-4, I'll get hold of 406 Stephen and send him on his way.
What is it that happened? Deputy Johnson recreated step by step the events of that night.
I was on routine patrol, and I came up to this intersection, and I looked south, and I saw a bright light just over the center of the roadway. My first impression was that maybe it was a semi with one headlight broken out, and then it dawned on me that the light was too big around and too intense for an ordinary headlight.
Go ahead, 407.
388, 220, 5.
407, what is your condition?
I don't know. Something just hit my car. I don't know how to explain it. Strange.
Are you, what's your condition? Are you okay?
Something attacked my car. I heard the glass breaking and the locks, the brakes locked up. I don't know what's going on.
What happened? What kind of car?
10-4, I'll get hold of 406 Stephen and send him on his way.
Val was rushed to a local hospital where he was examined by Dr. W.A. Pincinalt.
My eyes were extremely painful, as if I'd been subjected to something like arc welder burn or something. There was some salve put in my eyes, and they were covered with an adhesive bandage, but in a matter of 6 to 8 hours, it had cleared up.
Alan Hendry is an investigator with the Center for UFO Studies. Now, on hearing of Val's experience, he came to Marshall County.
The case is quite striking for the simple reason that a law enforcement officer has reported a sighting that left behind damage to his car and injury to his own eyes immediately following the experience. We learned of the Val Johnson case in much the same manner we learn of most of our sighting reports. The deputy of Marshall County contacted us directly via our 800 toll-free phone number, which we've issued to 10,000 police departments around the country. The biggest mystery about the Val Johnson case to me is trying to find one neat explanation for something that could behave the way he described, yet create the kinds of damage that we analyzed and discovered.
Mr. Meridian French, a crash technician for the Ford Motor Company.
A request was made by Mr. Alan Hendry to Ford Motor Company, and through the normal chain of command down to the glass division, I, as the so-called glass expert, was asked to come out and examine the windshield. The cracks in this particular windshield are not unusual in themselves, any one of which I could reproduce myself in the laboratory, but as a group, they're unusual.
French traced the outlines of the shattered windshield in order to analyze the fracture.
I'm convinced that the fractures, as we see here, were made by some type of a blow from the outside of the glass by some firm, probably hard object, but with not sufficient force to crush the glass, but enough force to bend the glass to the point of breaking it. I have not seen anything like this before. They are extremely unusual.
I've been in law enforcement for about 15 years. I've been chief deputy sheriff in Marshall County for 8 years, and I was elected sheriff of Marshall County last January 1st, so I've been in office about a year now. The car itself had busted headlights. The windshield was broke. One of the red lights on top of the roof was broke. The antennas were bent backward, where if an object would have struck them, they should have been bent forward. But they were bent the opposite way, as if some force had bent them. Val Johnson's a very good fellow, and he's a good officer. He has 3 young children and a nice wife, and he's a very reliable person. And my feeling was that whatever happened was strange and unknown, and there was no doubt in my mind that Val was telling what he actually saw.
This is Deputy Val Johnson and his wife, Roseanne. Everybody? Val, since that incredible experience that has shocked us all, have you had any other experiences, any other close encounters?
No, sir, no.
Had you had any before this?
No, this is the first one.
Well, how has it changed your life?
Well, it's brought our family unit closer together.
Because it scared everybody so much, you mean?
Well, there was a lot of people confused about it, and a lot of unusual stories that came out about it. But it's brought us closer together as a family unit.
Was it a religious experience for you? Many times these events are a religious experience.
Upon reflection afterwards, it's been about 6 months now. Upon reflection, we've kind of come to the conclusion that perhaps the Creator has made other things that we can't readily see or readily identify, and perhaps this is one of the things we encountered out on the road.
Certainly a humbling experience. Thank you, Roseanne and Val, for sharing your feelings about your experience with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A Minnesota UFO sighting from the 70s is considered more credible than most, in part because of who called it in from the road. It's one thing for a place to stand out for its extra kindness or extra comfort. In Marshall County, it's the prospect of an extraterrestrial that's drawn worldwide attention.
What he saw was a bright object, maybe like a foot diameter, about 3.5 feet off the ground.
It was along a rural highway on August 27, 1979, in the middle of the night. Marshall County Deputy Val Johnson was alone on patrol.
As he explained it in the news reports, what was there all of a sudden was here, so the light just shot at him, and it like engulfed his car in light and blinded him.
36 years later, the deputy's squad car is still what brings most people in to the Marshall County Museum.
And then, of course, the windshield is broken, something you can see where it hit.
Herb Morstead was a fellow deputy at the time, at a loss to explain the antennas warped in different directions, the broken headlight, and the dented hood.
Whatever happened, there was evidence.
The dashboard clock stopped for 14 minutes, as did Deputy Johnson's watch, before starting up again.
You can see that it wasn't Val Johnson's head, for example, that hit there, because it's in the wrong place.
Too low.
Yeah, way too low.
Doesn't mean it's from outer space. It's just an unidentified flying object hit it, and it just hasn't been explained, so it's unidentified.
Deputy Johnson was treated for welder-type burns to his eyes.
This didn't seem to be any airplane out way faster than something like that.
His supervisor at the time was Sheriff Dennis Brecky.
We do believe that our deputy had an encounter with something that we haven't been able to explain yet on this date, and there's a lot of interest because of that.
The internet has brought about new interest over the past several years. Conspiracy theorists are still trying to solve what law enforcement, mechanical inspectors, and the Center for UFO Studies could not.
I don't know what happened. I know in my own mind I did the best job we could at me and my department to investigate and find out what went on, and all we found out is we don't know.
Do you believe in UFOs?
Yeah, I kind of do. There's got to be something more than us around.
Now, as for Deputy Val Johnson, he is now retired and living in western Wisconsin. I reached him by phone, and he said there's already so much information out there, he really prefers not to talk about this anymore. The museum housing the squad car is in the town of Warren, Minnesota. It's closed for the season, but they'll let people in by appointment.